And hi again, it's Michigan's AutoTalk podcast, and this is episode number 55. I'm producer Phil Tower. In just a minute, we'll meet one of our two co-hosts. One has the night off, and you are allowed to wager at home as to who has the night off. We remind you this episode and every episode of Michigan's AutoTalk podcast is about celebrating the automobile and everything automotive. We're also about helping and supporting you, the car and truck owners across our great state of Michigan, birthplace of everything automotive. And remember, we want you to, if you like what we do, tell a friend, subscribe to our podcast, review our pod. Even if you think we suck, we would love a review saying we suck. Bring it on. And even if you think some episodes are good, some are kind of really lame, again, review our podcast. You can do that on Apple Podcasts. You can do it on Spotify, pretty much anywhere, even on iHeartRadio. And we know from looking at where you are listening, we have listeners all over the world. John Puhek, welcome to the episode. We got people all over the world, but we also know we have people who listen on iHeart, Spotify, Apple Podcast, even on that, the Amazon Alexa. So there you go. They're all over the place. So John, Al has the night off. We've given him a pass. Mm-hmm. Yet, I hate to say it, we have some incredible breaking news on this podcast episode. I can't believe I found this, first of all. This is an amazing story. You and I didn't even know about this, and I was doing a late check of what's going on in automotive news, and I find out that in our great state of Michigan, and this episode was released on Thursday, May 5th, just 3 days before that, some yahoos, and there were 9 of them to be exact, 9 guys, 7 Camaros, and only 5 of the 7 have been recovered. What happened was these 9 punks, and they were punks, 20 to 24-year-olds, and I've got a kid in that age group, so I hope he wasn't nowhere near the GM factory in Lansing. But 9 youths are under arrest for essentially stealing. Can you imagine the gall, John? Stealing 7 Corvettes out of a GM factory.
Camaros, yeah.
Camaros, almost the same difference.
I'm looking very forward to reading more about the backstory of all this, because this clearly wasn't just a smash and grab type. We're out on the lot. Like there was some stuff. There was some involvement going on, and I don't know how. I guess I just was raised a little different. I would never even have thought to try anything remotely like that, especially a brand new, because the was it the ZL1?
Right.
Those are the top end guys. They're not doing the Z28s anymore. But this the ZL1, that's your big boy horsepower and all this. And I don't know how. One, they got away with it with like security cameras, motion gates, all this stuff. But the fact that there's a couple that are still out large running around, I get a joyride having fun on the weekend, but I have never done a joyride like that in my life before. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Well, and here's the deal. This happened Monday morning. This would be just a few days ago from the release of this podcast on May 5th. This happened on Monday. This is the GM plant in Lansing, and troopers were alerted a little bit after midnight that 7 Camaros, and these are the super fast ones, the ZL ones, 650 horsepower, supercharged, 650 foot-pounds of torque, and a top speed of 198 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. There's no question they had an easy time outrunning multiple Michigan State troopers, multiple police, a chase that took place on I-96 outside of Lansing and went for quite a while across multiple counties until they were finally able to stop the car using those spike strips, which brought the Camaros to a halt. Most of the suspects fled on foot. The second group reportedly split again, and at this point, they have 5 of the 7 Camaros recovered. Those cars, all of them together, had a combined value of almost $400,000. 9 men, ages 20 to 24, arrested, facing charges of fleeing or eluding police, receiving or concealing a stolen vehicle, resisting or obstructing police, and conspiracy to commit a criminal act. I guess this is go big or go home. I mean, like you said, you could have stolen some used cars. No, let's steal them right off the factory lot from General Motors. And this involved 3 full divisions of the Michigan State Police Department, the entire Livingston County Sheriff Department, Metro Park Police, K-9 units, and an MSP helicopter. The pursuit was complicated after the thieves split into 2 groups of 4 cars each. So one of those was obviously a getaway car, exiting I-96 at various points. So they had this planned out. They knew what they were going to do. And the bottom line is all 9 of these apparently smarter than the police crooks are in custody. But yeah, the moral of the story is be a good doobie like John and me. And hopefully John's future teenagers, and stay home.
We had a while back a rash of local shops that got broken in.
Oh yeah,
guys were doing pretty much the same thing, taking them. It was a group of people or a group of little punks, and they were not looking to sell them or anything, but they would just joyride them. They would take them and just destroy the tar out of them, dump them, and run around and get something else. And for a while, we had the understanding that they caught the majority of them, and they were, in prison or what have you. And I don't know if they got out, and they figured since we've been gone for a while, let's go big and take some of these brand new bad boys off the lot. But it is kind of weird to think. I mean, I don't, not to sound like a fuddy-duddy, but I don't ever remember hearing stories like that in the past. Like, even
nope.
I mean, like, you didn't do that. Like, it was okay. It's one thing if you're like, oh yeah, we're stripping it and it's a chop shop or whatever, but like just to take it out, wail on it, and then just run, like what? I don't know if they stuck around and played too much Grand Theft Auto, behind the computer or whatever, but that's just, that mindset escapes me. So
yeah,
I don't know what to say other than they just need a swift kick in the backside. And
yep.
Yeah.
I think it escapes a lot of people. Another story we wanted to talk about for this episode of Michigan's Auto Talk podcast, episode 55, with yours truly, Phil Tower and John Puhek, part of the dynamic duo that hosts this podcast. Of course, Al Schringendorf and John Puhek. Story you sent me, which I guess we all knew this was coming, John. This is from thedrive.com, and this is an article about how GM has done some research that says, and really the point on this is GM, as you said earlier, GM has needed to find a way to monetize cars, especially when more and more cars are being sold directly to consumer. And so they have done some research that says car buyers are willing to pay up to $135 additional beyond their car payment every month for subscription services. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about like Sirius XM, but other upgrades,
I think
right?
that's pretty much the easiest application that most people can understand. I mean, I remember when that first came out, and I remember thinking, oh, no one's going to pay for a radio. Why would you? It's fine. I'll just turn it on for free. But then once you get that free sample when you first buy the car, or sometimes when you buy a used car, the dealer or the lot will throw that in for free just to see if you want to bite. And once you get used to it, I mean, it is really nice. No commercials. You can pick your stations, a little bit more personalized. And you look at, I mean, I forget the number you said, Phil, when we were off air, but how many subscribers now for XM?
They've got roughly 36 million. And Sirius XM satellite radio is a lot like cable. They're going to charge you an introductory fee. They're going to give you a super sweet deal, especially when your sample subscription is up. Then what's going to happen is at the end of that first year where you paid, $7, $8, $9 a month, they're going to jack you up to around $24, $25 a month. And you're going to say, okay, that's it, I'm out. Then you have to talk to a retention person on the phone if you really want to keep it. And, for a lot of reasons, last year I canceled SiriusXM. I had it for years on my used Toyota. It came with the car. And I said, you know what? That's fine. I listen to radio. Heck, for that matter, I was a career radio guy. So the bottom line is I figured I didn't need to be paying for SiriusXM satellite radio. But what happened, and this is very notable, what happened was I canceled my SiriusXM satellite radio, and for the next 12 months, I got every kind of pitch. And the latest pitch I just got in my email inbox on Tuesday. This is actually Tuesday last week. $5 a month. I mean, we're talking. They're talking extreme desperation. I almost bid at that, but the point is, GM is looking at adding on as many subscriptions as they can. I think you mentioned before we started the episode, hotspots. The connectivity is huge for cars.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing on the SiriusXM, I always hate doing it because it always comes up and you just have to haggle. No, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. Oh, no, come back. We'll leave. No, I'm going to leave. No, okay. You got to do, anybody who has Sirius knows you got to do that dance. But anyways, no, with the applications for General Motors, and I think the other manufacturers are doing it as well, is you started to see a lot, especially with like the F-150s and the trucks where it's like, oh, it's a mobile workstation. Not only we've got a fancy tailgate and a power outlet that you can hook up your miter saw, but you can run your business out in the middle of nowhere. Well, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you need a service provider. Oh, we'll go through Ford or General Motors. Oh, okay. And then, you got that as well. There's also this navigation app, and there's, connecting your phone, not only just so you can like talk and, hit the button on the steering wheel and call mom or whatever, but like the actual, it syncs up your phone and hooks everything up. All those applications, I think once people start getting used to them, they're really going to want them, and then they're going to bite on them. And I see that a lot. You always see the pictures where the dude's sitting on his tailgate on a laptop or whatever in the middle of nowhere. Well, you got to have internet for that, which means that's going to cost a little bit extra. And all these little things that once you get used to them, I think they're going to start basically hedging the bets on those services. And I can only imagine they'll get a little bit more complicated and you'll start having more things. I mean, basically you look at your car right now, if you've got like the newer Fords with that big, basically computer screen is your dash. So, okay, well, do you have apps on your phone? You're going to have apps on your car. And how do you do that? Oh, well, this is a little bit more compatible if you do this app through this Ford service or this General Motors or Dodge or whoever manufacturer. And so they're really trying to pump that, because when you're having the ability now to sit at home, not go to a dealer, pick out your car. I know this color. I want this motor. I want this trim package, these wheels, these brakes, this type of taillight. And boom, you go and get it. You drive off. That salesman didn't do anything. So where are they getting their cut? How are they going to justify keeping certain brick and mortar and, boots on the ground type deal? So I think this is their one approach of trying to curve that potential loss of income. But it's a very interesting article, but
yeah, and they're saying by 2030, which is, believe it or not, it's less than 10 years. It's about 8 years away. GM anticipates.
Sounds so weird.
I know, it's crazy. 30 million of its vehicles on the road by 2030 will all be some kind of connected tech. Most likely, there'll be some kind of internet connectivity built in. Certainly, a connected dash, and they are expected. Just all that connectivity, including subscriptions, is expected to bring in another $20 to $25 billion in annual revenue for GM. And interestingly enough, while they did this research, it said, hey, our consumers are willing to pay more per month for these subscriptions. They just did a survey that said 75% of car buyers overall said they don't want features to be locked behind in-car subscriptions, which completely contradicts GM's research on the matter. So stay tuned on this one, because I think, and we're seeing this happen already right now, for fans of Netflix, and you probably have heard about this. Netflix is going to introduce a commercial-supported service because people said, "Are you kidding me? It's now $18 a month for a family subscription." And, you add Hulu and Disney and Peacock and everything else on top of that. You're looking almost at a normal cable bill, overpriced, bloated cable bill. Add in car subscriptions and Sirius XM satellite radio, and people are they're gonna walk away. They're gonna say, I'm gonna have a simple life, and guess what? I'm gonna hit the speaker button on my phone and to heck with the connectivity.
Yeah. Well, no, and I kind of wonder too with those estimates that GM came out with, and I'm sure they're the first ones to do it. I'm sure other manufacturers, whether they will publish it or not, I'm sure they already have those specs in internal documents. But you also wonder too, like, how much of those applications are they kind of hoping you forget about, and you're just like, oh yeah, well, that's what it is this month. That's you just kind of forget what you're paying for. You forget all your subscriptions, and then if you finally were to, because not too many people get a paper bill anymore. Oh, just put it online, and yep, it's good and go, and you just kind of forget about it, and then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, wait, why am I paying this much for this? Wait, okay, so instead of navigation built into the car, I can just put it on my phone, hook up a USB cord, and I can do the same thing. Oh, why do I need that again? So I'm wondering if they're hoping people will just forget about it, and then it'll slowly kind of just slip into like, well, yeah, no, that's my car payment. Now, well, no, half of that is just for bells and whistles, you moron. Look at what you're doing. But
well, you grew up in the age of CDs, and before your generation, which is my generation, Al's generation, we had cassettes. And in a really old school.
So speaking of that, I was thinking about this when I was reading this article. I was like, man, I can remember DVDs, and we always had VHS, and we even had one of the little machines that you'd put it in after you're done watching it. It would rewind it like by itself, so you didn't destroy your VHS player. And I'm like, man, CDs or DVDs, why would no one's going to spend that much money on, same type of movie. Oh, well, you can fast forward to a direct spot. Oh, cool. Nobody cares. Just watch it. And lo and behold, I'm way off. And, it's kind of a good thing nobody ever listened to me when I was betting on like technology. Like, no one's going to want an iPad. Why are you going to walk around with this gigantic thing in your pocket? Like, just a phone's a phone, call it a day. And
yeah,
away we go. But that's why I swing a wrench, and I'm not a tech expert.
Yeah, fair enough. One final story I wanted to throw out for this episode number 55 of Michigan's AutoTalk podcast. It's pretty clear from past episodes, our listeners should know by now, you're a Chevy guy, and Al is a Mopar guy for the most part, even though he drives a Ford F-150. Yeah, go figure. But we can make fun of Al. He's not on this episode.
He's not here. He's listening to the next Stradivarius play in a little orchestra. But
anyways, there you have it. So this was a really interesting. I found this online. This is every now and then you find a really unique car up for sale, and anybody who loves classics, follows the classic car scene. We've had our friend AJ and company from Garage Kept Motors. There's a story from Bring a Trailer, which actually ended up on the GM Auto blog. This is a 424 original mile, 1984 Chevy Monte Carlo SS that's up for sale right now in Bring a Trailer. And bringatrailer.com is how can I put this delicately? It's car porn is what it is. It's car porn. It's essentially anybody who wants to drool over cars, and the beautiful thing about Bring a Trailer is it's as detailed as they come on every car that is featured, and literally sometimes 50, 60 photos, and then the car is listed for auction. And this very rare 1984 Chevy Monte Carlo, I sent you this link. Right now on Bring a Trailer, the current bid is $18,000, which is pretty affordable for this car, which is really essentially a new car. It's got a 305 V8, 3-speed automatic. It was sold from Tyson Buick in Coldwater, Michigan, and stored by the original owner until it was purchased just a month ago. How about that? This car has been in storage, Mr. Puhek, for almost 40 years. That's amazing. It's just amazing.
And the one thing, too, it had to, just judging by the pictures, and I mean, these definitely looked professionally done, not just from your phone or whatever,
Right.
but it had to have been a climate-controlled storage unit. Like, this was not just like a barn find type deal. It looks very, very clean. I'm not a huge Monte Carlo fan. I know it is a Chevy.
Neither am I.
But it is very rare to find that low miles on something that is not beat to tar, or that like hasn't been rusted away. You know what I mean? Like when people are like, oh, it's all original, that just means the radiator hoses are cracked. All the connectors are just shot and brittle. Every seal is leaking and hemorrhaging oil because the core gasket is dried up and blown out. But this is a fairly, very, very clean car. And the fact you can get it for low money like that, if I was somewhere down south maybe where I could drive that year round, I would. I mean, 18, are you kidding me? You can't get a good, decent year-round car up here for 18, let alone something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the odometer, 422.2 miles, original miles. And they've got, like I said, Bring a Trailer's great. And we'll put the link up for this episode. Check our podcast page, and you will have the link to this car, which the auction will still be going by the time we release this episode. John, it's got the Delta 1984 Delco stereo with built-in cassette, and it's got built-in air. It's pretty well loaded, and as you said, you can tell this is not a barn find because as you look at the interior, it's immaculate. Even a car being stored and covered in a barn or a garage would have rot and crap on the inside. It'd have mold. It had mouse droppings. Yeah. This car looks like it was sealed up in a bag and, maybe taken out a couple of times. Hopefully for something like this, they drained all the fluids or just kept whatever was necessary in it. But this is truly an amazing specimen. The auction ends on Friday. And like I said, the current bid for this all original 422-mile Chevy Monte Carlo SS 1984 is currently at $18,000. $18,000, and it could be yours. And more importantly, now, it's in the state of Michigan.
Yeah. Now, I forget. My wife stopped letting me go on. She's got that website blocked on my computer because I tend to spend a little bit too much money and start thinking of projects we could do. But do you see, I forget, do they show what it actually sold for when it's closed, or is it just the private, it's sold off the website and you're done? You don't actually get to see what it goes for?
It doesn't say. Right now, what it tells us is that it's $18,000 and that the auction is open at this point.
Gotcha.
That's what we are looking at. And let's see, 42 comments. Auction ends in 3 days. Let's see here how it works. Okay, and this is just how you go ahead and bid on this. I've got the bid button in front of me. You want to go 18.5 and not tell your wife?
Well, I think my wife's taking care of the newborn, so just let's not make it too loud. But yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, I forgot about that. How is the newborn, by the way?
He's doing real good. All systems are a go, and I miss having sleep. But
okay, well,
all systems are a go. Yeah. We'll just leave it at that.
You can sleep when you're 50.
Exactly.
That's just fine. All right. Well, that will put the wraps and the apps on this episode of Michigan's AutoTalk podcast. I think we have the title for this. I've worked on it. 9 punks, 7 stolen Factory-New Camaros, and 1 long Michigan State police chase. I think that's it. I think that's the episode for this. The title for this episode. Until episode 56, don't forget to check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Michigan's AutoTalk. We'd love to have you like our page, leave a comment, tell us that we suck or you love the podcast, and, of course, review this episode or any of our other episodes. And you can catch us here anytime. We have 54 other episodes for you to check out other than this one. Until next time, for Michigan's Auto Talk podcast, I'm producer Phil Tower.
And for Al Schwenkendorf and John Puhek, thanks for listening.